Lieutenant Commander Ryan Torres had a problem, and her name was Kalira. 3 months aboard the joint exploration vessel Horizon's Edge, and he still couldn't stop staring at the Thessari tactical officer. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't even something he could control. Every time she entered a room, his eyes found her like magnets finding north. He tried to be subtle, failed spectacularly. The Horizon's Edge was humanity's first joint mission with the Thessari Collective, a trial run for deeper alliance between the two species. The crew was split evenly, 50 humans, 50 Thessari, learning to work together in deep space exploration. As the ship's security chief, Ryan worked closely with Kalira, the senior tactical officer. Their departments overlapped constantly, which meant he saw her constantly, and every time was like the first. Kalira was striking in ways human beauty standards couldn't quite capture. She stood taller than most humans, her frame elegant and strong. Her hair was midnight black streaked with natural silver threads that caught the light like starlight captured in silk. But it was her skin that truly marked her as Thessari, covered in iridescent patterns that shifted colors with the light, like oil on water or aurora borealis captured in flesh. And her eyes. Those eyes that contained swirling galaxies, literally. The Thessari had bioluminescent structures in their irises that created moving patterns resembling distant nebulae. Looking into them was like gazing into deep space itself. Today, Ryan sat in the ship's mess hall, datapad in hand, pretending to review security protocols while actually watching Kalira across the room. She moved with natural grace that made even mundane actions seem choreographed. The way she picked up her meal tray, the fluid motion as she sat, the elegant angle of her elongated ears as they oriented toward conversation. "You're staring again." Ryan startled, turning to find his second-in-command, Lieutenant Chen, sitting down beside him with an amused expression. "I'm not staring, I'm observing, Security Chief. It's my job." "Right. And is it your job to observe how the light catches her skin patterns, or how she tilts her head when she's thinking?" Chen grinned. "Face it, Torres, you've got it bad." "I don't got anything, I've never seen anyone like her." "Because she's alien. Because she's," Ryan struggled for the right word, "remarkable." Chen shook his head, still grinning. "You know Thessari have enhanced sensory perception, right? She probably knows you're watching her." The thought made Ryan's stomach clench. He forced his eyes back to his datapad, but the words blurred meaninglessly. He didn't notice Kalira's gaze flicking toward him, her expression unreadable. The next few days passed in routine. Mission briefings, security rounds, combat drills. Ryan forced himself to maintain professional focus, but his awareness of Kalira never dimmed. During a joint training exercise, he watched her demonstrate Thessari combat techniques, movements that combined martial efficiency with almost dance-like fluidity. Her skin patterns shifted with her exertion, creating hypnotic displays. He was definitely not being subtle. It was during a routine mission debrief that everything changed. The senior officers gathered in the conference room, Captain Vasquez at the head, with department heads arranged around the curved table. Ryan sat 3 seats from Kalira, close enough to catch the subtle scent that Thessari carried, something like rain and ozone combined. As the meeting concluded and officers began filtering out, Ryan gathered his things slowly, lost in thought about the upcoming shift rotation. He didn't notice Kalira approaching until she was directly in front of him. Human. Her voice was controlled but carried an edge he'd never heard before. Ryan looked up, finding her galaxy-filled eyes fixed on him with unsettling intensity. Her skin patterns had shifted to muted, darker colors, greens and blues that seemed to pulse with contained energy. "Senior Officer Kalira," he replied formally, "is there something you need?" Yes, she didn't move, didn't blink. An answer. To what question? "Why are you always looking at me?" The directness of it caught Ryan off guard. He'd expected eventual confrontation. He hadn't exactly been discreet, but not this. Not here, with other officers still filing out, some now pausing to watch the exchange. He could lie. Make some excuse about security observation or professional assessment. His diplomatic training practically demanded he deflect, but something in her expression stopped him. Beneath the controlled exterior, he saw vulnerability. She wasn't angry, she was uncertain, maybe even hurt, as if his constant attention was a source of confusion rather than flattery. Ryan made a decision he'd later question hundreds of times. Because you look amazing. The words left his mouth with simple honesty, no filter, no diplomatic careful phrasing, just truth. The effect was immediate and alarming. Kalira went rigid. Her skin patterns flared brilliant white before cycling through colors Ryan had never seen, reds, purples, golds, all pulsing with obvious distress. Her eyes widened, those galaxy patterns swirling faster as if in shock. Her breath caught audibly. Around them, the few remaining Thessari officers froze. Commander Valen, who'd been near the door, spun around with an expression of disbelief. Lieutenant Saris dropped the datapad she'd been carrying, the clatter loud in sudden silence. "What?" Kalira's voice came out strangled. "What did you say?" Ryan's confusion mounted. "I said you look amazing, because you do. I wasn't trying to be offensive." "Silence." Commander Valen stepped forward, his own skin patterns showing alarm. He spoke rapidly in Thessari to Kalira, the melodic language sounding harsh with urgency. Kalira responded briefly, her voice tight. Then, without another word to Ryan, she turned and left the room. Not walking, practically fleeing, her usual grace abandoned for urgent speed. Ryan stood frozen. What just happened? The remaining Thessari exchanged looks that seemed weighted with meaning. Then they too left, quickly, leaving Ryan alone with several confused human officers who'd witnessed the exchange. Lieutenant Chen appeared at his side. "What the hell did you do?" I answered her question. She asked why I keep looking at her. I told her the truth. "You called her amazing." "Yes, because she is. It was a compliment." "Tors?" Chen looked genuinely worried. "I think you might have done more than that." Before Ryan could respond, his communicator beeped. Captain Vasquez's voice came through, clipped and serious. "Lieutenant Commander Tors, report to my office immediately." Ryan's stomach dropped. "On my way, Captain." He left the conference room with a growing sense that his simple, honest words had triggered something far beyond a cultural misunderstanding. Captain Vasquez's office felt smaller than usual, probably because of the tension filling it. The captain sat behind her desk, expression grave. Beside her stood Advisor Torvesh, the ship's Thessari cultural liaison, an older Thessari whose skin patterns moved in slow, deliberate waves indicating careful thought. "Sir down, Tors," Captain Vasquez said. Ryan sat back straight, trying to project professionalism despite his racing mind. "Tell me exactly what happened in the conference room." Ryan recounted the exchange precisely. Kalira's question, his answer, her reaction. As he spoke, he watched Advisor Torvesh's expression shift from concern to something that might have been dismay. "That's it?" Captain Vasquez asked when he finished. "You just said she looks amazing." "Yes, Captain, I meant it as a compliment. I don't understand what I did wrong." Torvesh finally spoke, his voice measured. "Lieutenant Commander, what you did was not wrong by human standards. By Thessari standards, however." He paused, seeming to choose words carefully. "You have made a formal declaration." "A what?" "In Thessari culture, expressing admiration for another's appearance is not casual compliment. It is not something said lightly or for social pleasantry. To tell someone they look amazing, to express that you have been observing them with admiration, this is first step in binding courtship ritual." Ryan felt blood drain from his face. "I'm sorry, did you say binding?" "Yes, binding. Legal, social, sacred." Torvesh's skin patterns shifted to serious blues. "Thessari do not give empty flattery. Our culture considers lies and insincere words deeply dishonorable. Therefore, when someone expresses admiration, it must be genuine and must carry weight. Your words, spoken in front of witnesses, constitute formal declaration of intent to bond. Bond as in life partnership, what humans might call marriage, though our tradition is more complex. Torvesh clasped his hands. You have essentially proposed to Senior Officer Kalira. Ryan's mind went blank, then filled with panic. But I didn't know, this is insane. Your intention does not change the words spoken, Torvesh said calmly. In Thessari law, she now has two options. She may accept your declaration and begin the bonding courtship, or she may reject it and demand satisfaction for the insult of making declaration you did not intend to fulfill. Satisfaction, what does that mean? Honor challenge, penalties, potentially banishment from Thessari space. Torvesh's expression was not unsympathetic. The diplomatic implications are significant. Captain Vasquez leaned forward. Tors, do you understand what you've done? This isn't just about you and Kalira. This affects our entire mission. Human-Thessari relations are delicate enough without one of my officers accidentally proposing to their tactical officer. Captain, I had no idea. None. I just thought she was beautiful and I said so. Ryan's voice carried desperation. How was I supposed to know that's a marriage proposal in their culture? That's why we have cultural briefings, Lieutenant Commander. The briefings mentioned respecting Thessari customs, not that compliments are contracts. Torvesh raised a hand. Perhaps I can explain further. Thessari value sincerity above all virtues. In our ancient past, empty words caused great harm, promises broken, trust violated. Our culture evolved to place enormous weight on spoken declarations. If you say something, you must mean it completely. This is why we do not give casual compliments. To admire someone openly is to declare intent, because why else would you speak such words if not with purpose? Ryan tried to process this. So in your culture, there's no such thing as just saying someone looks nice. Not in the way you mean. Between friends, family, close companions, perhaps softer acknowledgments. But to observe someone repeatedly, then when questioned, to declare they are amazing. This is courtship initiation. You have announced to witnesses that you find her worthy of admiration, and that your attention has purpose. The weight of it settled on Ryan's shoulders like physical burden. His honest words meant simply, had become legally binding declaration in alien culture he barely understood. What do I do now? He asked quietly. Captain Vasquez and Torvesh exchanged looks. First, the captain said, you need to understand the full situation. Advisor Torvesh will provide intensive cultural education. Second, you need to decide how you want to handle this. You can withdraw your declaration formally, admit it was cultural ignorance, and accept whatever penalties Thessari law requires. Or you can stand by your words and proceed with the courtship trials. Courtship trials? Torvesh nodded. If she accepts your declaration, you must prove yourself worthy through series of trials that test character, compatibility, and commitment. They are not easy. They expose everything about a person. Ryan's head spun. An hour ago, his biggest concern was security rotation schedules. Now he was facing either interstellar incident or alien marriage trials because he'd called a woman beautiful. And if I withdraw, you admit to speaking words without meaning them. In Thessari culture, this is deeply dishonorable. The diplomatic damage would be significant. It would confirm their concerns that humans speak falsely, that we cannot be trusted. Captain Vasquez's expression was grim, but proceeding without genuine intent would be worse. I need time, Ryan said, to think. You have 7 days, Torvesh said. That is how long Kalira has to give her formal response. Until then, you must avoid each other except for professional necessity. This is protocol. Ryan nodded, feeling numb. 7 days. Use them wisely, Lieutenant Commander, Captain Vasquez said. Your next decision affects more than just your career. Ryan left the office with his world completely upended. He'd thought Kalira looked amazing. He'd said so. And now everything hung in the balance. Sleep was impossible. Ryan lay in his quarters, staring at the ceiling, mind churning through the impossible situation he'd created. The overhead lights were dimmed, casting shadows that seemed to judge him for his cultural ignorance. In human terms, he'd paid a woman a compliment. In Thessari terms, he'd proposed marriage. How was this his life? His personal terminal beeped softly, a message from advisor Torvesh. Educational materials for their cultural sessions, the first of which was scheduled for 600. Ryan opened the files and began reading. The Thessari bonding tradition. A complete cultural overview. The document was extensive. Hundreds of pages detailing bonding customs, courtship trials, social expectations. Ryan read until his eyes burned, absorbing information that should have been part of basic mission briefing. He learned that Thessari bonding wasn't romantic partnership as humans understood it. It was sacred covenant, merging of lives on every level, professional, personal, spiritual. The process began with declaration of admiration, followed by formal acceptance or rejection, then series of trials designed to reveal true character. If both parties completed the trials successfully, they entered negotiations for bonding terms, then finally the bonding ceremony itself. The whole process could take months, sometimes years, and he'd accidentally initiated it with 4 honest words. Ryan also learned about Thessari views on attraction. They considered it recognition of another's essence, not superficial appreciation of appearance, but deep acknowledgement of someone's worth. To find someone amazing was to see their fundamental value. His words hadn't just complimented Kalira's looks, they declared he recognized something essential in her, which wasn't entirely wrong. He did find her amazing, not just physically, though her appearance certainly struck him, but the complete picture. Her competence, her grace under pressure, the way her mind processed tactical scenarios with elegant efficiency. He'd been watching her because he was genuinely fascinated by everything about her. Did that make his accidental declaration less accidental? Morning found him exhausted but determined. He arrived at advisor Torvesh's office for their first session, trying to project readiness to learn. Torvesh gestured him to sit. "Did you read the materials?" "Every page, though I have questions." "I expected so. Ask." "These trials, what exactly do they involve?" Torvesh's skin patterns shifted to teaching mode blues. 5 trials total. The revealing, where you share your deepest fear. The challenge, where you demonstrate physical courage. The wisdom, where you solve problems together. The patience, where you endure hardship. And the declaration, where you state publicly why you find each other worthy. And each one is designed to test character. Yes, the trials expose truth. They are impossible to fake. Many who begin them do not complete them. The exposure is too great or their character is found wanting. Torvesh studied Ryan carefully. "You are considering proceeding, aren't you?" Ryan was quiet for a moment. "I don't know yet. But I'm considering it." "May I ask why?" "Because—" Ryan struggled to articulate it. "Because what I said wasn't a lie. I do find her amazing, and withdrawing because I didn't understand your culture feels wrong. Like I'd be dishonoring my own words." Torvesh's ears twitched, approval Ryan had learned. "That sentiment is very Thessari." "Is it?" "Yes, we value those who stand by their words, even when standing becomes difficult." Torvesh leaned forward. "But I must caution you. Proceeding from sense of duty alone would be mistake. The trials reveal truth. If your admiration is shallow, surface-level attraction only, they will expose this. And then both you and Kalira suffer greater dishonor than simple withdrawal." "It's not shallow," Ryan said, surprising himself with his certainty. "I don't fully understand what I feel, but it's not shallow." "Then you must spend these 7 days understanding it. Before Kalira gives her answer, before you make your choice, you must know your own heart completely." They spent the rest of the session discussing Thessari courtship specifics. Ryan learned about the significance of skin patterns in emotional communication, about how Thessari used their heightened senses to read sincerity, about the weight their culture placed on honor and truth. When the session ended, Ryan felt simultaneously better informed and more overwhelmed. The next few days blurred together. Ryan attended duty shifts with focused professionalism, avoiding areas where Kalira might be. When they passed in corridors, unavoidable on a ship this size, they acknowledged each other with formal nods but no words. Each encounter was painful, her galaxy eyes showing nothing but guarded caution. He spent every free moment with Torvesh, learning more about Thessari culture. He studied their history, their values, their views on partnership. The more he learned, the more he understood why his words had carried such weight. He also spent time in deep self-reflection. Did he truly admire Kalira, or was he simply attracted to her alien beauty? Was his fascination with her substantial enough to justify undergoing sacred trials? Could he honestly commit to a bonding process he barely understood? The answers that emerged surprised him. Yes, he did truly admire her. His attention hadn't just been about her iridescent skin or galaxy eyes. He'd been watching how she moved through challenges with calm efficiency, how she treated crew members with professional respect regardless of species, how her tactical suggestions often revealed insights others missed, how she carried herself with dignity that came from inner strength rather than arrogance. His fascination wasn't superficial. It was recognition of someone exceptional. Did that mean he should proceed? He still wasn't sure. On the fourth day, Ryan requested permission to send a message to Kalira through formal channels. Torvesh helped him word it appropriately. Senior Officer Kalira, the message read, I request opportunity to speak with you regarding the situation my words have created. I do not wish to pressure your decision. I only wish to express that my admiration was genuinely meant, though spoken in cultural ignorance. I respect whatever choice you make. If you prefer, we need not speak until you have decided. But know that I meant every word and I am learning what those words truly mean in your culture. Respectfully, Lieutenant Commander Tors. The response came hours later, brief and formal. Meeting request granted. Protocol requires witnesses. Tomorrow, 1400 hours, Conference Room B. Ryan felt relief and dread in equal measure. The meeting was nothing like he'd hoped. Conference Room B was small, intimate, but felt crowded with the required witnesses, Advisor Torvesh, Commander Valen, and two other Thessari officers. Their presence made the conversation feel like courtroom proceeding rather than personal discussion. Kalira sat across from him, her posture. Ryan recognized the trap from his cultural studies. If he said yes, he was admitting to dishonorable speech. If he said no, he was confirming the declaration stood. They were spoken without understanding the purpose they would carry, he said carefully. But they were not empty. I do find you amazing, Kalira. Your appearance, yes, but more than that. Your competence, your grace, your intelligence. I've been watching you because I'm genuinely fascinated by you as a person. Not as some exotic alien, but as someone I find truly remarkable. Kalira's skin patterns flickered, colors trying to emerge before being suppressed. You confuse me, human. Ryan, my name is Ryan. Ryan. She tested the name like unfamiliar flavor. You say your admiration is genuine, yet you did not intend declaration. How can both be true? Because my culture doesn't treat admiration as declaration. We express appreciation freely without binding intent. It's casual, I suppose, which I'm learning seems dishonorable to you. Not dishonorable, just. She searched for the word, meaningless. If words have no weight, what value do they have? They have value in the moment, in expressing genuine feeling without requiring permanent commitment. Kalira processed this, her ears tilting slightly. Strange culture. As yours seems strange to me, but neither is wrong, just different. Commander Valen spoke in Thessari, tone questioning. Kalira responded briefly, then returned her attention to Ryan. The commander asks if you will withdraw your declaration. Admit cultural ignorance and accept consequences? Ryan had expected this question. He'd spent days preparing for it, but the answer that came wasn't the safe, diplomatic choice he'd rehearsed. No. The single word hung in the air. All Thessari witnesses showed surprise. No, Kalira repeated. No, I won't withdraw. Ryan leaned forward slightly, keeping his voice steady despite his racing heart. What I said was true. You are amazing to me. If your culture requires that I prove myself worthy of saying so, then I'll prove it. If you accept my declaration, I'll undergo your trials. I'll expose my character for judgment, because you deserve someone willing to back up their words with action. Kalira's control slipped. Her skin patterns flared, colors Ryan had learned to associate with emotional upheaval, purples and silvers pulsing through her in waves. You cannot mean this, she whispered. I do mean it. I've spent days understanding what I said and what it means, and I've spent those same days understanding what I feel. My attraction to you isn't superficial, Kalira. It's recognition of someone truly remarkable. Whether that's enough to justify Thessari bonding trials, I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. Silence fell over the room. The Thessari witnesses exchanged looks of astonishment. Advisor Torvesh's skin patterns showed something that might have been pride. Kalira stood abruptly, her chair sliding back. Her patterns were chaos, colors shifting rapidly, showing internal turmoil that her composed face tried to hide. I need time, she said, voice strained. The full 7 days I need to think. Of course, Ryan replied. Take all the time you need. Whatever you decide, I'll respect it. She left quickly, the other Thessari following after giving Ryan measuring looks. Only Torvesh remained. That was either very brave or very foolish, the advisor said. Probably both. Yes, probably both. Torvesh's patterns showed warm approval, but it was also very honest. She will need to consider that. What do you think she'll decide? I cannot say. Kalira is unusual among our people. She focuses on duty, on career. She has never received declaration before. Your words have awakened something in her she had buried. Is that good or bad? That is for her to decide. Torvesh stood. You have done what you can, now we wait. Ryan returned to his quarters feeling like he'd just jumped off a cliff without knowing if there was water below. 3 days remained. 3 days to wonder if he just made the best or worst decision of his life. 3 days before Kalira would determine both their fates. Ryan spent them trying not to think about galaxy eyes and iridescent skin patterns that haunted his dreams. He failed spectacularly. The 6th day brought crisis that neither Ryan nor Kalira had anticipated. Ryan was running security diagnostics in the lower decks when the emergency klaxon sounded. 3 sharp bursts followed by the bridge's announcement. All senior officers to stations. Unknown energy signature detected. This is not a drill. He was moving before the announcement finished, training overriding everything else. His personal situation with Kalira became irrelevant against immediate threat. The bridge was controlled chaos when he arrived. Captain Vasquez stood at the central command station, reading data scrolling across holographic displays. Around her, officers, both human and Thessari, worked in coordinated efficiency. Report, Vasquez commanded as Ryan took his security station. Unknown energy signature bearing 270 Mark 15, reported Lieutenant Chen from navigation. Distance, 40,000 kilometers and closing. It's massive, Captain, and it's not matching any known signatures in our databases. Ryan's fingers flew across his console, pulling up tactical readouts. His security systems showed nothing hostile, but the signature was definitely approaching. No weapons signatures detected, but the energy output is off the charts. Tactical assessment. Vasquez turned to where Kalira had arrived, taking her station with calm professionalism that belied the tension in her skin patterns. Kalira studied her displays, those galaxy eyes processing data rapidly. The signature appears to be spatial anomaly rather than vessel. The energy pattern is consistent with theoretical models of compressed spacetime distortion. However, the distortion is unstable. It's expanding as it approaches. Kalira's skin patterns shifted to warning oranges. Captain, if that instability reaches our position, it could damage or destroy the ship. Vasquez didn't hesitate. Helm, bring us about, full retreat. Tors, coordinate with tactical for evasive patterns. Kalira, I need options. Understood. Ryan found himself suddenly in close coordination with Kalira for the first time since their conference room meeting. They exchanged tactical information rapidly, their respective expertise combining as they plotted evasion routes. Security analysis shows weakest point in the distortion at 315 Mark 10, Ryan reported. If we can slip through there. Negative, Kalira interrupted. My tactical assessment indicates that weakness is false. The energy readings suggest trap, denser distortion masked by surface appearance. She pulled up her analysis on the main screen. If we go that direction, we fly directly into condensed gravitational force. Ryan studied her data, seeing what she meant. His security sensors had read surface patterns, but her tactical systems analyzed deeper structures. She'd caught something he'd missed. She's right, he confirmed to Vasquez. Belay that route, tactical's assessment is sound. Then find me another way out, Vasquez ordered. They worked together intensely, combining Ryan's security protocols with Kalira's tactical genius. Their minds fell into synchronization, his linear human logic complementing her pattern-based thesauri analysis. Where he saw individual data points, she saw interconnected webs. Where she struggled with human systems' limitations, he bridged the gaps. There, they said simultaneously, pointing to the same spot on the holographic map. They looked at each other, surprise flickering across both faces. Route 79, Kalira continued. Through the distortion's weakest actual section, it will require precise timing and evasive maneuvering that pushes our structural limits, Ryan finished. But it's our best shot. Vasquez didn't question their agreement. Helm, follow their coordinates. Tors, Kalira, talk him through it. What followed was intense teamwork. Ryan and Kalira guided the Helm officer through a dangerous path, anticipating each other's recommendations before they were fully voiced. When Ryan saw a threat from one angle, Kalira was already preparing countermeasures from her tactical view. When she spotted navigational hazards, he was simultaneously adjusting security protocols to compensate. It was like dance, complicated, dangerous, but somehow perfectly coordinated. The ship shuddered as they penetrated the outer edge of the spatial distortion. Lights flickered, consoles sparked. Ryan gripped his station as the deck lurched beneath them. Structural integrity at 80%, an engineer reported. Keep going, Vasquez ordered. We're committed. Ryan and Kalira continued their coordinated guidance, voices overlapping but never contradicting. They moved the ship through the distortion's heart like threading needle through cosmic storm. One particularly violent shake threw Ryan off balance. He stumbled, hands shooting out to catch himself on the nearest station, which happened to be Kalira's. Their fingers touched briefly, her skin smooth and slightly cool against his. She looked up, galaxy eyes meeting his for one intense moment. Then they both refocused on their screens, the crisis demanding their complete attention. Minutes felt like hours, but finally, suddenly, they burst through the distortion's far side into clear space. The ship steadied, systems normalizing, the spatial anomaly shrinking behind them as its unstable expansion finally collapsed. The bridge crew let out collective breath. Well done, everyone, Vasquez said. That was exceptional coordination, particularly from security and tactical. She looked pointedly at Ryan and Kalira. Your teamwork likely saved this ship. Ryan felt exhaustion and relief mixed with something else, awareness of how well he and Kalira had worked together. Their minds had meshed perfectly, each covering the other's weaknesses, combining strengths into something greater than either alone. As the bridge returned to normal operations, Ryan finished his post-crisis reports methodically. He was gathering his things to leave when a voice stopped him. "Ryan." He turned. Kalira stood nearby, her skin patterns still showing stress from the crisis, but other colors emerging now too. Purples and silvers he'd learned indicated contemplation. "Kalira, good work out there." "You as well." She hesitated, something clearly on her mind. "The way we coordinated. I have rarely experienced such synchronization, not even with other Thessari tactical officers." "I noticed that too. We seem to think well together." "Yes." She moved slightly closer, voice dropping. "You meant what you said about finding me amazing. The trials require such honesty, and during the crisis, you demonstrated it. You valued my tactical analysis over your own security readings. You trusted my judgment. Because your judgment was sound, you saw what I missed. Many humans dismiss Thessari assessment as overly cautious or too complex. You did not. Why would I? You clearly knew what you were seeing. I'd be an idiot to ignore that because of species bias." Kalira's patterns shifted again, warmth entering the colors. "Tomorrow is the 7th day. I must give my formal response." Ryan's heart rate increased. "Yes. I have thought much about this situation. Your declaration, made in ignorance. Your refusal to withdraw despite consequences. Your willingness to undergo trials to prove your word's worth." She paused. "And now this crisis where I saw your true character in action, your respect for my competence, your trust in my abilities, your willingness to work as equals." "You've seen my character in action for 3 months," Ryan pointed out. "I have observed you, yes, but today I experienced you. There is difference." Her eyes met his directly. "I have decided." Ryan's breath caught. "Already?" "Tomorrow I give formal answer in ceremony, but I wish you to know now privately." Her skin patterns glowed with colors he'd never seen. Deep purples shot through with silver and gold, complex and beautiful. "I accept your declaration." The words hit Ryan like physical force. "You, what?" "I accept. I agree to begin bonding trials with you." Her voice carried quiet intensity. "Not because duty demands it, or because of diplomatic implications. I accept because your words were honest, your character is worthy, and today you proved that your admiration has substance. You saw me, not as alien exotic but as competent equal. That is rare and precious." Ryan stood speechless for several heartbeats. Then, "Kalira, you understand I'm still learning about your culture. I might make mistakes during the trials. You will certainly make mistakes. We both will. But you will learn, as you have already demonstrated. And perhaps I will learn about humans as well." Something that might have been smile crossed her features. "Tomorrow we begin properly. Tonight, return to your quarters and prepare yourself. The trials are not easy. They will expose everything about you." "I know. Torvesh has been preparing me." "Torvesh can only teach so much. You must face them with open heart and honest spirit. Can you do this?" Ryan took a breath, feeling the weight of his decision settling fully on his shoulders. He'd started this with careless words. Now he'd see it through with deliberate action. "Yes," he said, "I can do this. I will do this." Kalira's patterns flared bright with what he now recognized as hope mixed with something deeper. "Then tomorrow, Ryan Tors, we begin. And we discover together what your honest words might truly mean for both of us." She left before he could respond, her elegant figure disappearing down the corridor. Ryan stood alone on the quiet bridge, mind spinning with implications. Tomorrow his accidental declaration became intentional commitment. Tomorrow the trials began. And tomorrow everything changed for both of them, and possibly for their entire species relations. He really should have just kept his compliments to himself, but looking at where that path was leading, maybe he was glad he hadn't. The formal acceptance ceremony took place in the ship's observation lounge, the largest gathering space aboard Horizon's Edge. Crew members from both species filled the room, witnesses to what advisor Torvesh called historical moment in human Thessari relations. Ryan stood at the room's center, wearing his dress uniform, trying not to let his nervousness show. Beside him stood Kalira, resplendent in traditional Thessari formal attire, flowing garments in deep purple that made her iridescent skin patterns appear even more vibrant. Captain Vasquez officiated from the human side, while Thessari High Officer Marilyn represented Kalira's people. Both species' traditions needed to be honored. "We gather today to witness the formal acceptance of a bonding declaration," Marilyn announced, her voice carrying across the silent room. "Lieutenant Commander Ryan Torres has declared Senior Officer Kalira worthy of his admiration. She has chosen to accept this declaration and begin the sacred trials." She turned to Kalira. "Do you accept this declaration freely, without coercion, understanding its weight?" "I do," Kalira responded clearly. "And you, Ryan Torres, do you affirm your declaration, understanding now what it means in Thessari tradition?" Ryan met Kalira's galaxy eyes. "I do. My words were honest when spoken and remain honest now. I find her amazing, and I commit to proving myself worthy of saying so." Marilyn's skin patterns showed approval. "Then let the trials begin. May truth be revealed and worthy character be shown." Applause erupted, human clapping mixed with Thessari harmonic approval sounds. Ryan and Kalira stood together, officially bound to their path. After the ceremony, Torvesh approached them both. "First trial tomorrow, the revealing. You should both rest tonight." Ryan nodded, but Kalira spoke. "Advisor, may Ryan and I speak privately before we begin?" Torvesh considered. "It is unusual but not forbidden. Speak truth to each other. It will serve you well in coming trials." When they found a quiet corner, Kalira's formal bearing softened slightly. "Are you frightened?" "Terrified," Ryan admitted. "You?" "Also terrified. The trials have broken many who began them, and we begin with additional complications, different species, different cultures, different understandings." "Then why did you accept?" Kalira's patterns shifted through contemplative colors. "Because your words woke something in me I had buried. I have always been told I am too focused on duty, too serious, too career-oriented. No Thessari has ever made declaration to me. I assumed no one found me worthy of admiration." "That's ridiculous, you're exceptional." "To you, perhaps, to my own people." She trailed off. "Then you spoke your honest words, and I saw myself through your eyes, not as duty-obsessed oddity, but as someone worthy of admiration. That perspective is gift I did not expect." Ryan understood more than she realized. "My first posting, I had a commanding officer who told me I was too rigid, too by the book. Said I'd never inspire loyalty because I couldn't connect with people. I buried myself in regulations and protocols after that, afraid to let anyone see the person behind the officer. Yet you let me see you. Your declaration was personal truth spoken openly. Because it was true, and maybe." He paused. "Maybe I'm tired of hiding behind professional distance." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. "Tomorrow will be difficult," Kalira said finally. "The revealing requires deepest honesty. You must share your greatest fear while connected to our truth sensors. No deception is possible." "What's your greatest fear?" "That is for trial to reveal, but Ryan." Her eyes met his with intensity. "Whatever you share, whatever truth emerges, I will not judge. The trials are about knowing each other completely, flaws included. Do you understand?" "Yes." "And same from me. Whatever you reveal, it becomes part of who we're learning to bond with." "Good." She touched his hand briefly, just brush of fingers, but it sent warmth through him. "Sleep well, Ryan Torres. Tomorrow we begin knowing each other truly." She left, and Ryan stood alone with his thoughts. Tomorrow he'd expose his deepest fear to alien woman he was bonding with. What could possibly go wrong? The revealing took place in a small chamber designed specifically for such trials. Truth-sensing equipment lined the walls, Thessari technology that read neurological patterns to detect deception. There was no hiding from this. Ryan sat facing Kalira, sensors attached to both of them. Torvesh and Marilyn served as witnesses, their presence formal requirement. "The trial begins," Marilyn announced. "Ryan Tors, you will speak first. Share your deepest fear, the truth that lives in your heart's darkest corner. The censors will confirm your honesty." Ryan took a breath. He'd prepared for this, spent hours in self-examination discovering what truly frightened him most. The answer had surprised him. "My deepest fear," he began, voice steady despite his racing heart, "is inadequacy. Not failure, I can handle failure, but the fear that I will never be enough for the people I care about. That I'll disappoint them not through single mistake, but through fundamental lack in myself." The censors hummed, reading his words. After a moment, Marilyn nodded. "Truth confirmed, continue." "I became security chief because protocols are safe. Rules don't change based on feelings. But deep down, I fear that my dedication to duty is just protection against real connection. Because if I connect truly with someone and I'm not enough for them," he swallowed, "that would break me in ways failure never could." Silence followed his words. Kalira's patterns shifted through colors Ryan couldn't quite interpret: sympathy, understanding. "Truth is fully confirmed," Marilyn said. "Your fear is laid bare. Kalira, you now share." Kalira closed her eyes briefly, her patterns cycling rapidly. When she spoke, her voice was quieter than usual. "My deepest fear is that I am unlovable. Not unloved. Many love me, family and friends, but unlovable. That my focus on duty, my seriousness, my intensity, that these things make me someone impossible to truly want." Her patterns dimmed. "I fear that every declaration that might have come to me was withheld because others saw fundamental wrongness in me. That I am too much of wrong things and not enough of right ones." Ryan's heart clenched hearing this. She feared being unlovable. This incredible woman whose competence and grace amazed him daily. "Truth confirmed," Marilyn said gently. Kalira continued. "When you made your declaration, part of me feared it was mistake. That you would withdraw when you saw me truly, when my intensity became burden. That I would finally receive admiration only to prove myself unworthy of it." "That's not," Ryan started. "Let her finish," Torvesh cautioned. Kalira opened her eyes, meeting Ryan's gaze. "But you did not withdraw, you stood by your words, and in doing so you challenged my fear with your courage. That is why I accepted. Not because I believe myself suddenly lovable, but because you gave me chance to learn whether I might be." "Truth fully confirmed," Marilyn announced. "The revealing is complete. Both have shared their deepest fears honestly. This trial is past." Ryan reached across the space between them, taking Kalira's hand. Her skin was cool and smooth, her patterns warming at his touch. "You are not unlovable, Kalira. Your intensity, your focus, your seriousness, these aren't flaws, they're strengths. And anyone who can't see that isn't worth your time. And you are enough, Ryan. Your dedication to duty isn't weakness, it's integrity. The right person won't want less of you. They'll want all of you, protocols included." They sat connected by joined hands and revealed truths, understanding each other more deeply than either had understood themselves. The next trials came in sequence over following weeks. The challenge tested Ryan's courage. He had to protect Kalira from simulated threats while she was temporarily disabled, a test of whether he had will and ability to guard his bonded partner. Ryan threw himself into it with intensity that surprised everyone, including himself. He took injuries defending her, his protectiveness not performance but genuine instinct. When it ended, Kalira's patterns glowed with moved colors. "You fought for me as if I were precious to you." "Because you are," he replied simply. The wisdom trial required them to solve complex puzzle together, Thessari technology that could only be unlocked through combined cognitive approaches. Ryan's linear human logic joined with Kalira's pattern-based thinking, creating solutions neither could reach alone. They worked in perfect harmony, minds complementing each other naturally. "I have never solved problems so efficiently," Kalira admitted afterward. "Neither have I. We think well together. We do, perhaps better than either of us thinks alone." The patient's trial tested their endurance, 48 hours of isolation together with minimal food or comfort, seeing if they could maintain harmony under stress. What could have been miserable became opportunity. They talked endlessly, sharing stories from their worlds, their families, their dreams. They learned each other's humor, Ryan's dry sarcasm meshing with Kalira's subtle wit. They discovered shared values beneath cultural differences. When they emerged, they were closer than either had imagined possible. And through it all, something grew between them that transcended the formal bonding process. Ryan found himself looking forward to seeing Kalira not because trials required it, but because her presence made him happy. He loved watching her patterns shift as she thought, loved hearing her insights, loved the rare moments when she laughed and her whole demeanor transformed. Kalira found herself seeking Ryan's company beyond trial requirements. His honesty refreshed her. His willingness to see her as she was, intensity and all, felt like gifts she'd never expected. When he looked at her, she felt not exotic specimen but valued person. The crew noticed the change. Human and Thessari officers saw their unlikely pair becoming genuine partnership, inspiring hope that their species alliance could be real, not just diplomatic convenience. The final trial approached, the declaration. This would be hardest. Both had to stand before witnesses and state publicly why they found each other worthy of admiration. Complete honesty required, truth sensors active. No hiding from this. The night before, they met in the observation lounge, watching stars stream past. Nervous? Ryan asked. Extremely, you. Terrified but also. He struggled for words, ready. These trials have shown me things about myself I didn't know. And they've shown me you. Kalira's patterns glowed softly. I feel similarly. When you made your accidental declaration, I thought you foolish human who spoke without understanding. Now I see you as brave human who stood by truth, regardless of cost. And I thought you were beautiful alien, I couldn't stop watching. Now I know you're remarkable person whose beauty is just part of much larger amazing whole. They stood close, their reflection visible in the viewport, human and Thessari, different yet somehow fitting together. Tomorrow we complete the trials, Kalira said. And then we decide what comes next, formal bonding. Complete partnership. Are you certain you want this, Ryan? Full Thessari bonding is not human marriage, it is deeper commitment. Ryan turned to face her fully. Kalira, I didn't know what I was saying when I called you amazing. But I know now, and I'm more certain than ever. You are amazing, your mind, your spirit, your strength. These trials haven't changed my initial assessment. They've confirmed it 1,000 times over. Her patterns flared bright with emotions too complex to name. Then tomorrow we declare our truths, and we see if they are enough to build future on. They will be, Ryan said with certainty he felt to his core. Tomorrow came faster than expected. The observation lounge filled with every crew member able to attend. This was more than personal moment. It was precedent-setting event in human-Thessari relations. First bonding between their species. Ryan stood at the room's center, dressed formally, sensors attached. Kalira faced him in her bonding trial attire, patterns active and shifting with obvious emotion. Truth sensors hummed, ready to confirm or deny every word spoken. The declaration trial begins, High Officer Marilyn announced. Ryan Torres, state your declaration. Why do you find Kalira worthy of your admiration? Ryan took a breath. He'd rehearsed nothing. This had to be pure truth. I find Kalira worthy because she taught me that strength comes in many forms. Her tactical brilliance humbles me. She sees patterns and connections I miss. Her dedication to duty mirrors mine, but she maintains it without losing herself, something I struggle with. The sensors confirmed his truth as he continued. I find her worthy because her intensity isn't flaw, it's passion. She cares deeply about everything she does. Her seriousness comes from commitment, not coldness. And when she laughs, when she lets joy through her professional guard, she becomes most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Truth confirmed. I find her worthy because these trials revealed her completely, her fears, her hopes, her dreams, and every revelation made me respect her more. Not less, as she feared, more. She is not unlovable. She is magnificently, completely, overwhelmingly lovable. And I am grateful beyond words that my careless compliment gave me chance to know her. Silence, then Marilyn nodded. Truth fully confirmed. Senior Officer Kalira, your declaration. Kalira's patterns brightened as she spoke. I find Ryan worthy because he sees me as I am and does not look away. My intensity, which others find uncomfortable, he calls passion. My seriousness, which others find off-putting, he calls integrity. He sees not flaws to tolerate but traits to appreciate. Truth confirmed. I find him worthy because his courage extends beyond physical. He stood by accidentally spoken words when withdrawing would have been easier. He chose honor over convenience, truth over comfort. That is rare and precious character. That truth confirmed. I find him worthy because he taught me that my fear of being unlovable was just fear, not truth. Through his eyes, I see myself as worthy of admiration. Not because he lowered his standards, but because he saw clearly what I could not see in myself. He proved that sincere admiration exists, and that I am worthy of it. She paused, patterns glowing brilliantly. When he said I look amazing, he spoke accidentally. When he affirmed that declaration repeatedly, he spoke deliberately. Both times he spoke truth, and that truth, honest, consistent, unwavering, has become foundation I wish to build upon. I find him worthy not despite his humanity, but including it. His differences from me are not obstacles but enhancements. Together, we are more than apart. Marilyn waited for Censor's final confirmation. It came. Full truth spoken. The declaration trial is complete, she announced. Both have spoken truth about their admiration. Both have proven worthy of the other's respect. This trial is passed. The room erupted in celebration, human applause and Thessari harmonic approval creating beautiful cacophony. Ryan and Kalira stood facing each other, tears forming in both their eyes. "We did it," he whispered. "We did." Her smile was radiant. "What happens now?" "Now we complete the bonding formally. Then we figure out what human Thessari partnership looks like." "It looks like us," she said simply. "Yeah, it does." The formal bonding ceremony took place a month later, combining human and Thessari traditions into something new that honored both. Vows were spoken in 2 languages. Rings were exchanged alongside Thessari binding crystals. Human and Thessari crew members celebrated together, seeing in Ryan and Kalira proof that their alliance had real foundation. 6 months after that, Ryan and Kalira stood on the observation deck, watching their ship approach new exploration coordinates. They'd been officially bonded for months now, partners in every sense. "Any regrets?" Kalira asked, her hand in his. "About accidentally proposing to you?" "None." He grinned. "About the diplomatic chaos it caused? Maybe a little." The diplomatic chaos led to stronger alliance protocols. "Worth it." "True." He pulled her closer. "You know, if someone had told me that calling a woman beautiful would result in alien marriage trials and complete life change, I might have kept my mouth shut." "I am glad you did not." Her patterns glowed with contentment. "Your honest words changed my life. And your acceptance changed mine." He kissed her forehead gently. "You still look amazing, by the way." "I know, you tell me daily." But her patterns showed pleasure at hearing it again. "And I'll keep telling you, because it's true." They stood together, human and Thessari, bonded partners watching stars stream past. Their relationship had begun with careless compliment that became binding declaration. It had evolved through trials that revealed their deepest truths, and it had become partnership that neither had expected but both treasured. "Captain Vasquez wants to discuss the upcoming mission," Kalira mentioned. "Security concerns. Tactical planning. She wants both our inputs." Together as always now." Ryan smiled. "I like that, together." "As do I."